Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. It's Thursday night, October 9th, just after 9 p.m. And I'm always a straight shooter. I would not lie to you. I'm strapped for time, like big time. But to keep your attention, I'm going to go ahead and throw down from Mac, part number XR1390 LFGR. Any guesses what that might be? It's probably something you're not going to find online and probably won't for quite some time because they have a terrible website. That still blows my mind. But it's right here. And before we get into it, you can calculate what you think it is, what it might be. And I got to tell you, if you are new here, there are timestamps. Feel free to use them. I don't make jack off this. There's no affiliate links. Everything you see linked is just there for your convenience. In the case of this, I can't link it because it doesn't exist on their website at this point in time. If this is something you want, you can call them with that part number, which I will have down below, or you can talk to your dealer if you've got one. But the main thing, there's timestamps down there too. A lot of people never read the description. The description is something I use. I take the time in editing to go through. If we unbox something, if we get it out of the packaging, if we showcase blank feature set on it, if we compare it to something, if we test fitment of sockets versus another, it's all down there. And so if you want to jump around, you do that. Again, I do this for fun, and there's literally no kickback to me. So that said, I should not be out here. I've been working until 8 every night, and I will be doing that tomorrow on Friday. And I also go in early tomorrow on Friday, and I have to work Saturday, I found out. So long story short, if anyone cares about my personal life, there's really not much of one. And if I came home from work tomorrow, assuming I get out at a decent time, which is like 8 to 8:30, I don't know that I would have time to record this, edit it, upload it, and have it live, hopefully for your viewing pleasure, Saturday morning. So I'm out here Thursday night to record it. Hopefully tomorrow I can edit it, and I'll be up really late. But it is what it is. So apologies in advance because, again, I'm very strapped for time and realistically shouldn't be out here. But we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this. I told my dealer, like when these came out, hopefully you have seen my video on the Max90. It was probably the first dedicated video. I brought this home from work. And I told him when these came out, hey, I'm looking forward to the locking flex head. Why? In my opinion, Mac has the best locking flex head because it functions. We'll get into comparisons here shortly. But if you did not know, the Axis line is kind of going away. In fact, my dealer was told long ago, before the Max90s even hit, if I come in and I break my Axis, just give me a Max90. It's to that point. Now, I'm sure there will be repair kits or something, but essentially they're done, and they want you to have a Max90. Again, we cover it in hours worth of details. What I typically like and try to do, with caveat, there's timestamps in great detail with lots of comparisons. So there you go. He remembered, hey, this dude told me when the locking flex heads come out, he's interested. He texted me last week before he came and said, hey man, there's a chance I'm going to have those things. I'll keep you posted. They didn't come. And then this week he did get them. He'd ordered quite a few. He got 1 3/8 and 1 1/2 inch. So this is the 3/8. It's what I took. It's what we're going to take a look at. But this I also brought home from work. It is turned out to be something I use way more than I thought I would. It is an Axis 1/4 inch long flex head. So this is kind of the Mac family here in varying states, if you will. And this is important because it hopefully will sell you or help you understand the Max90 benefit. So before we get into specs on it, let's take a look. Again, this is the Axis. Something I wasn't sure I would use a ton. It turns out I do. This thing has been through the ringer, and it broke in really well. This and the Hazet 8816 HPS at work. Two not super smooth ratchets out of the box. They've both broken in beautifully. Cannot say enough kind things about them. They basically live, this almost always has a 7/16 socket on it for grease fittings and 1/4 20 stuff. Sometimes, you know, it deviates, but I've gotten in the point where I've started just leaving sockets, you know, with angle grinders and die grinders. If you do a lot of fabrication work, you're like, I'm not going to change cutoff wheels and grinding and flap. I'm just going to get another grinder. Save me time in the long run, right? You have a backup. I've started doing that with like my ratchets. It's kind of annoying, you know, because I've got like socket trays laid out and there's gaps, but you know, right there behind it, there's ratchets with the said sockets that are missing on them. So that's kind of what this does. This, I think it's honestly just from the excess leverage I apply. It is a long handle quarter that it broke in so well. But aside from smoothing way out versus when it was new, we've got this going on. And, I don't want to turn this into like a huge lifetime update on the Axis, but again, this all ties in. You'll just have to have faith. Right there, again, one of the coolest selector switches of all time. It gets better in 3/8 and a half. This little guy has been really, really good to me. But you'll note, again, here at the house, I have time. Things are leisurely when I actually have time, and I get to clean things. At work, I do not. This is how this poor thing lives. If I ever had time, I could clean it. A lot of what you see there, you know, think of machine shop, you know, like this is metal dust. It's just like kind of there. I could wipe this down with a tub of towels. It's going to take a lot of the grease and grime off, but a lot of it's just kind of embedded in the handle. I show you that because I want to segue into this beautiful thing. This is purple. Aside from being super cool, it's cleaner. This did have, and first night I used this, I got aniseeds all over it. I felt terrible, especially when I found out like they were doing away with it. But I did clean it up. It cleaned up fairly well. You know, it's kind of faded where the aniseeds was, but not a huge deal. But that's kind of the difference, and I have time to take care of things, and I don't. But this is special. This is like limited edition, right? I asked my driver, you know, I'm in theory, you know, like what if I put a cheater pipe on this and just tear the handle up? I'm not even trying to warrant it. I'm just like, dude, this is on me. I want to buy a new grip for my ratchet. Kind of like blew his mind, right? This is before the Max90 was conceived. And that kind of, I was like, oh, geez. You know, like I can shred the head, whatever, and he'll give me a new one. But like the handle, you were kind of screwed. And that is really where the Max90 shines, because if you recall from that video, this business end down here, that is actually a torque screw. You take that off, this handle slides off, you can replace it. As of yesterday, when I was talking to my Mac guy, I finally got a price. If you love red and you're like, man, I ruined that, I don't know what I got it in, but it's gunked, it's weird, I need a new grip, $17.99 is the price. The cool thing though, let's say that, you know, you've got orange and you're like, man, I hate that, I should have done green. 18 bucks, you can swap colors. If you've got this and you're like, I'll deal with it, you know, it's all I had on the truck, I needed it, use it, gets to the point where it's, you know, grind up to the point of no good, buy yourself a new one in your color of choice. Currently there's only red, orange, and green. Hopefully at some point in time, you know, they bring purple in. I don't know how they'll treat that, if it'll be limited or just like, hey, it's available. Blue, there's so many things they could do with this system. But since we've had this, I think it was sometime in May that I pulled the trigger on this. I went with the shorter one. This is basically a 10-inch, and I've used it quite a bit at work. The thing is, unlike the Axis, this guy just has not broken in. So if you can, I kind of complained of this when it was new. It's kind of like clunky and jumpy. I figured, you know, the Axis was like that too. I'm not gonna lie, maybe not that bad, but it was similar. You know, like you spin a new ratchet, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they break in beautifully from this point, sometimes they don't. I guess what, I've had this maybe 5 months, 4 to 5 months, somewhere in that range. This just has not like broken in like the Axis does. That is kind of concerning. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the changes. You know, I sort of prefer the head on the Axis. I like the way they had designed it. If you note, you know, they were kind of fortifying the Axis. This is an OG, so it's got the screw heads from the bottom through the seal plate. But on this guy, it was kind of one of the updated iterations where they had the screws coming down through the head into the plate. Sort of think of like aviation style, right? I tend to prefer that style of a ratchet versus things like this. It's just, I don't know, that's kind of me. That said, they swear, and we'll get into the benefits of this in a little bit, they swear it's a way stronger ratchet. Will this break in and get smooth like the Hazet little 3/8 guy? Just buttery dream machine now? Like the quarter drive? I don't know. I guess I need more time. Something I was telling my driver that yesterday, and what he told me when he has the rebuild kits, I guess he's, brought a couple of them in. The instructions actually say, you tear it down, replace everything. It's also supposed to be way easier to service, if that means anything to you. But when you tear it down, the instructions explicitly state you're going to put a 12-point socket on the end of this, you're going to chuck it up, and you're going to spin it 2 minutes with an impact forward, switch it to reverse, and spin 2 minutes in that direction. I assume that's part of the break-in procedure. I could do that here, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it manually like I treat everything, see what happens. It's still clunky, okay? Not terrible, but definitely not good, okay? So enter this guy, the 13-inch locking flex head. I think that's a really nice length. Again, obviously having the 9-inch on board, we're kind of home free. But with this guy right here, it is stupid good, okay? If I take this and I try to shimmy, okay, this is about as stiff as you're gonna get. Absolutely love it. It was easy to articulate. A lot of people knock on these because, it doesn't have the American flag. It doesn't say USA like this does, okay? If I come in over here, this is essentially the exact same ratchet. This is just a flex as opposed to a locking flex head. But check out that sweet selector switch. Absolutely, without a doubt, the coolest in the business, in my opinion. You got the USA, you got the American flag on and off for people that don't understand. What more could you ask for? But this thing, this is at home, that's why it's clean, but it's pretty freaking smooth, right? However, we've got that setup where you have flex, locking flex. Again, there is a brand that we cannot talk about until I hit 10,000 subscribers, which we're dangerously close to. I have their locking flex head. It's the new design. It's at work. I didn't bring it home because I wouldn't be able to show it to you because I want things to be a surprise. You know the whole sob story. I love the ratchet action on that. I hate the locking action on that. It unlocks all the time when I don't want it to. It also, when you think, well, hey, just leave it unlocked and have it as a flex head, that's great until it locks when I don't want it to. That issue with the brand that starts with a snap and ends with an on is the exact opposite of the issues I have with this stupid thing. This right here, I critique it for reasons like the design. I don't like that design. It's like gear wrench-esque. Okay, I prefer something different. The ratchet action isn't terrible. The biggest selling point is the slim head, but this has a lot of slop, okay, for a very expensive ratchet. This costs more than the snap-on. Similarly, if you're like, hey, you break that thing in yet? No. Sometimes it gets to the point where if I jostle the head, I can articulate it. But this is unacceptable for something that's made in America, for something that has any quality control, thought, care. It's a massive disappointment. Great things to say. The aesthetics, black and blue. I mean, cool. No one else is doing that still. It has the positives. It's just unacceptable to me. I'm not a huge fan of the ratchet action, like the snap-on, where I like, hey, the ratchet action's great. This does stay locked, and it doesn't inadvertently lock. It's just have fun getting it there. When we first got this, I soaked it in ballast oil and trans fluid. I had to keep the Knipex needle nose beside it. This is just stupidly bad, okay? So this is too much of a pain to lock and unlock, whereas the snap-on is too much of a pain because it is too easy to lock and unlock, so much so that it does it itself when you don't want it to, which is why this guy right here is like the dream machine. And even again, I don't have the snap on here to show you, but I assure you this is elite in terms of the stiffness. There is no slop in that. Now the 1/4 inch, which again I have in the super cool purple, it has a little bit more play, but this 3/8, absolutely perfect. So, you know, I'm not going to buy a Matco to have at work. You know, hey, you know, you've got a Snap-on at work and you don't seem happy with it, which is why we have this in front of you on the bench. Now, I have to tell you, in an initial impression, like I got out there, I didn't know what this was going to look like. If they've posted this on social media, I don't know. I haven't had time to look. This is not quite what I was hoping for. All right. I realize, yes, you know, this purple guy's got a button here. You know, it may not be like the most robust looking thing, but I like it better than this. This might actually be easier to articulate and everything, but I'm just a little leery of this. Only time will tell, you know. It could be great. It could be terrible. I could break it, you know, all the time. I might not. We're going to find out. But the long and short of this right here, this is the XR 1390 LF GR, brand new, fresh off the truck. Depending where you're at, your driver may not even have these yet. If they don't, they should be getting them, especially if you told them to. I would think within a week or two, everyone should have access to them. But what the selling points are, they're going to say, this is the Max90 3/8 Locking Flex. Again, use Max vernacular. It'll help you have a better probability of finding this backdoor through a search engine on their website, because their personal website, not that great. Part number, description, good luck. It's a crapshoot, especially if it's out of stock or a new listing. It's a nightmare. This one is a comfort grip ratchet. It is 13-inch in red. Again, not a huge deal because you can change it if you're thinking like, man, really? Why would you get red? I thought you always said anything but red. Work is red. At work, I try to do green tools. It just kind of worked out that way, in part because there's not blue. Okay. But with the axis here, like, it's red. I traded in a 3/8 axis on like a bigger set of the orange ones in foam, you know. But my driver made a deal with me. He said if I take this thing and I keep it kind of clean, I'm not sure what that means exactly, because as you can see at work, I touch things and they get filthy. But he said if I keep this in decent shape, he'll swap it with me, no charge, for a green handle that he should have next week when he comes by. So hopefully that will pan out in my favor. So that will be going to green. I can then, the 9-inch, I'll switch at some point if I want to. It's not the end of the world. The red looks pretty good. It's just, yeah, I'd prefer something different. But right here, the Max90, again, the successor to the Axis, they're going to claim more torque and longer life. Again, I think they really push this on the dealers. He comes back, I think there was a tool show maybe 2 weeks ago or something. I guess they were again laying it on them. And note, we're going to use these, whoops. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just not make a big deal. I always kind of get myself in trouble with stuff like that, but we're going to get this off of there, and we're going to pull this up so you can take a look. Right there, you can see it is comparing the torque to failure versus the ASME standards and comparable Mac Tools Axis ratchets. I mean, in theory, they're not necessarily bagging on the Axis, they're just saying, hey, the Max90 improves upon the Axis. I'll tell you right now, some of you are going to love the Max90 handle. I'm talking ergonomics now. I think everyone's going to be a fan of, you know, hey, you can change the color or change the grip if it gets weird. That's a huge upgrade when you had something that was permanently affixed and you were stuck with, right? You just have to basically slop it off at some point and have a metal stub in your hand, I guess. So I think people will agree with that. That part's cool, but the ergonomics, if you've got big hands, I think the Max90 will be a welcome addition. Something the Axis did, it was a very slim ratchet, handle included. Sort of a Koken-esque type of an approach, perhaps a little thinner. I know a lot of people are turned off from the Axis because they find it uncomfortable. However, and I've heard from some of you, there's not a ton of people that make Mac videos right online. There were a lot of you that have said, hey, I can't believe they're getting rid of that. I loved the Axis handle. It was so slim, or it was more comfortable to me. Again, all that stuff is subjective. I might think this is perfect. You might hate it. The next guy might be like, that's 100% an improvement over that. Others of you, God, they ruined it. Like, the Axis handle was great. Again, personal preference. Your opinion can't be wrong. You've just got to have all of this stuff in front of you to try it out, see what you actually like. But I would think the pros outweigh the cons. But if you were a huge fan of that, or you're like, man, I've always wanted something small and compact, that might be a turn off from the Max90 setup. Even though those of you that loved that, I think you have to admit it is nice being able to pull the handle off and swap it when it gets chewed up, falls in something nasty, just gunky over time, whatever. You just get tired of the colors. All your coworkers have cycled through and now they all have green, and you're like, screw it, I want orange now. 18 bucks, you can make it happen. I hit him up. I said, is this really made in America still? As best he knows, this is like made in Fort Worth. All right, he says that with a lot of things. The complaint on the Axis, I was going to hit on this earlier, where this orange flex head has the American flag. It's 100% made in America. This is made in America with global materials. I believe it would just be limited to this mechanism here. Why? Because the handle is on that one and it's 100%, gets the American flag. I'm going to assume with the Max90 Locking Flex-Head, it's this that's killing it. I could be wrong. I'm just assuming things here. But they are going to say on the back, just so you have the official tag, made in USA with global materials. This is absolutely no different than what you have with the Axis Locking Flex-Head. So, but all intent and purposes, according to my driver, your driver probably says the same thing. It's made in Fort Worth. So take it for what it is. That said, let's take a look at the head. All right, you got it right here. Again, gonna be just like our 9-inch, but if you didn't see that, there she is. Kind of a nice profiled, pretty slim. Let's check this one out. This is about the clunk level of, it might actually be a tad smoother than that guy. Maybe they've realized, like, hey, when we build these, we need to go through a break-in procedure. This is just not on that level, not at the level of the Axis here. Granted, those have been used. This is way, way used and probably overtaxed, which I think is probably what helped it break in so well. I do some stupid things with that. I don't advocate for it, but it's held up so far. But this is just a little clunky. Again, my hope and my dream is that it will break in just buttery smooth like the Axis line has done for me. However, time will tell. Cover plate right here, we've got a clean one for you. That's what she looks like new. Again, deviating from a lot of companies that just have that black. This is sort of like a chromed or nickel finish on the plate. Minor deal, but you know, I figure it's worth mentioning. Now right here, this is where things get kind of weird. Okay, we have a locking flex head, and you will note that's not a ton of play. It looks like a ton of play in part because the handle's so long, but if I come up here, it's still got play, right? This is not anywhere near as good as the Axis, which that thing, I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's elite. There's only one other locking flex head I personally own that is close to this, and it's kind of a unique design, but I would put those tied at the top. This was killer, absolutely killer. I sort of assumed, since Mac had executed this so well, and they're over here beefing this thing up, I thought, you know what, they're probably gonna, you know, freaking fix this thing too. This isn't as bad as Matco. It's not as bad as Snap. I know I don't have the Snap on here. I'm just going off memory. But it's not that good, right? Not bad, but not that good. So, if you look at it, though, where we used to have the button and where the Matco has a switch that doesn't work and Snap-on has a paddle that, you know, swims itself around, this is an interesting take. This is very easy. I mean, I've got the Alpha gloves here. Discount code of Lone Star saves you 20%. And no, I don't make a dime off of that either. Just trying to get you some good gloves. This is kind of cool. I hate... It feels like plastic, and anytime I touch plastic, I think that's going to break. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Will I run into stuff with this? Will I like be swinging around and I'll just kind of think, hey, I've got clearance, and I'll graze something, and just the torque of me pushing, am I going to just have that shear off? I don't know. I got this thing yesterday. It's a fear. It's something running through my mind. You've got the same standout on this side. So... this has a standout on both profiles, bottom side and top side. That's kind of sucks, right? You could have maybe had this where it's easy to access, right? But just had it on the top. Maybe you might have said, hey, you know, we think people are going to drag this on the top, and you would justify having it on the bottom, but they've got it on both. The Pro there, I can come in, and this is super easy, especially, this is my bad thumb, which I have no feeling in. I mean, I guess a little feeling, but nothing like this hand. The bottom line, this is great to articulate. It works very well. I can use one hand, right? Top side, bottom side, index finger. Let's see if we can get the traffic finger up there. That's kind of a weird position, but yes. You get the idea. This is somewhat user-friendly. I'm just more concerned about the profile. We've added material above and below, and that might put us at a disadvantage. If you've got a deep socket on here, if you've got an extension, you're probably going to rise above an obstacle, but that is a downside. The other downside, and something positive to say about Matco and about Snap-on, provided you can unlock the Matco and provided your Snap-on doesn't lock itself, those are sort of a 3-in-1 ratchet. You have a locked straight, which is almost just like having a standard fixed ratchet. Okay, again, look at the slop there. Pretty bad. But you have fixed, you've got freeform flex, and then you've got the ability to lock it at, granted, preset angles. The Mac, the big downside on this, as much positive as I have to say about it, the big downside, you do not have the ability to enter a free flex. This is always locked. You can pick from predetermined angles where it's locked. It's always locked, okay? Mac's answer to you saying, well, I want it to be able to flex as well, any free form at any time, they're going to say, buy that ratchet. If you say, well, how I want it to be able to lock, they're going to say you need both ratchets. Okay, so Snap-on, Matco, anyone with their types of designs has that edge. However, if you really want a locking flex head, that's good. Okay, same thing here. This, sadly, you would think, as good as that was, if you're going to try and improve it, you would say, what's a complaint our users had? And for me, it would be, well, hey, if you go with the other two prominent tool trucks locking flex heads, you've got kind of a 3-in-1, and this is a 2-in-1, right? You've got your standard straight fixed, and then you can lock in your choice of positions. Okay. Speaking of which, let's just come in here. There is one. That is what I'm going to call pretty much 90, which is good. I use that a lot. Well, that's 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. 6, just like you probably guessed, going to be our straight on. 7. 8. 9. 9. All right, I'm counting 9 again. This is where I don't have the time to really do a better job than that. And also, there's literally no literature. Last time on the Axis, or I should say the Max90, I hit Mac up and I said, hey, you guys got any literature on that? There is nothing online. And they actually did send it to me, but of course it was like a week after I had made the video. But just since they did send it to me, I mean, that was nice. And we'll try to showcase it. You can see the 3 different colors, red, green, and orange. You can see the handle construction. You can see the upgraded pawl, kind of. Or just, yeah. There we go. Again, their big thing for dealers, this is a more robust, shouldn't break, shouldn't be a warranty item as often. Similarly, it's easier to service. At least that's what they're saying. So it is what it is. That said, we're about to time out. I'm going to take advantage of that and manually time out. So we're back, and as I was trying to get at, if I had that, which was great, I would literally, if you just have me comparing it to Snap-on and Matco, that is the #1 locking flex head, because it's easy to lock and it stays locked. Okay, and that's really all I need it to do. The big downside, however, the caveat that you might tolerate Matco or Snap-on's issues, it's always locked. No freeform flex, right? So again, 2-in-1 versus 3-in-1, pick your poison. So you would think, if I had that information, if I knew my product and I said, how could we make the Max90 locking flex head elite and even better than that? That's one of the things I would have done. Maybe, you know, like, yeah, this would be awesome, okay? But just think about this. If there was a way, I want you to try as best we can to showcase this. If I get this in the right light, there is a tab that comes up. You can probably guess this is cogged, right? So we have a little stop that's articulated. This is all this is a slider. Think of this as just a tab. If I pull that down, this technically is a freeform flex. However, unless I want to hold my hand like that perpetually and try to ratchet, I gotta let go. As soon as I let go, that springs up and she's going to be locked in place. Again, it's quite difficult to see in there, but once more, if I pull down, I've got access. So all they have to do is keep this if they think this is worth going to, or people request it, or I mean, I'm sure they conducted some research and people were like, yeah, that would be great. And I will give them, this is easy to do, but if there was a way to keep this tab pulled all the way back, we would have our 3-in-1, okay? My advice to Mac, if this mechanism holds up, if it doesn't shear off, if it doesn't just become so cumbersome for people, they're like, I have no space, you know, I'm gonna go back to that piece. If this doesn't become an issue, I would say the logical upgrade, even if it was like a pin on the side, if I could come in right here and pull down and just push a little tab, think of a ratchet. God, it's so hard to do with this thumb. I apologize. So if I just had a tab I could press that would hold that back, and then I had a 3-in-1. I've got my fix, I've got my freeform flex, and I've got my flex that locks. That would be the ticket, in my opinion. I've told you before, the positions I primarily use with a locking flex head, it is going to be, not to be too boring, but straight. Just standard ratchet, and like this. I use this all the time. It might be because I work with things over my head, right? I'm not sure if other people are the same way, but this is very much a part of almost my daily life, is working overhead, and I have things bent back at 90 degrees. There you see the play again. This was so good. And again, push the button, come down. This one didn't quite do the full 90, but look how solid that is. This is like a ratchet built at that angle. Everywhere you went with this, it was absurdly good, especially compared to the other offerings on the market. So if you're seeing this and you're like, dude, I kind of want that axis, there probably still a handful you can get. All I'm seeing online on Mac's website is the 18-inch iteration. This is a 13. But if 18 inches your jam, you're like, hey, I don't care, that dude makes that thing look really good, go that route. Keep in mind, my 3/8 has been great. My 1/4 has a bit more play. I would say not quite this bad, but it's probably halfway there. So this is elite locking action. This is pretty good, but that's so good, everything else looks bad. But again, such a shame and kind of a missed deal. I would have waited another 6 months of development time if we had a way to pin this, so then this was also a flex head. It is what it is. Again, real quick to kind of walk you through the prices. Again, I apologize, this is all over the place. I don't have time. I don't get to think things through or map it out or go off a script. I just wing it. And, 9-inch fixed Max90, which would be this guy minus the flex, $155. This ratchet right here is up to $180. That's about $15 more than the Axis equivalent. A 13-inch fixed, so take this guy right here, fixed head, you're at $180. A flex iteration of this would be $200. The 13-inch locker that I have here, I want to say it was $219. It could have been $209. I honestly don't remember, and I don't have my receipt with me. But we'll just roll with $220, and I'll try to correct it in editing, right? So in the description that I mentioned earlier, I'll have the official price I paid for this thing. To put that in comparison, I kind of think Snap-on went down. They're roughly equivalent to this 13-inch, $200. Great ratchet action, very nice handle. Terrible lock and unlock because it's not dependable. Matco, I will say, try to compare apples to apples, since that is black and sort of like a special premium finish, or at least that's what they're going to tell you. You can get their standard run-of-the-mill chromey for $186. As you see that thing equipped, it's $213. That means the Snap-on, at least in what I have, is the cheapest. Matco somehow is second cheapest. You would think they would be the cheapest, but they're usually the highest. Mac, with this Max90, is actually the spendiest. To Mac's credit, it's also the newest one on the market and would have the development time, and those others have been there for years and have a litany of cohorts and voluminous production runs. Maybe the price comes down on this, maybe it goes up, I don't know. But $220, $200 for Snap-on, and we'll just say $210-ish for Matco. Again, if you option it out differently, the price can come down. The elephant in the room, though, if you're thinking like, oh, screw those tool trucks, man. Hey, I understand. You got Icon. You think Harbor Freight, you think, a way better price. Yeah, this thing's $70 if you're not getting a discount at all. And if you follow my channel, hopefully you don't buy at Harbor Freight unless you are getting a discount, preferably 20% or more. I don't remember what I paid for this, but I think it was at least 20, maybe 25% off, could be higher, but it makes for a really good deal. And what they did, they definitely improved their handle. It's a huge knock in my opinion because it should have been colored. It should have had something Max90-ish. I'm not saying the same thing. However, since we steal Snap-on's mechanism, Matco's lock style, why not take the best of all three and just make the handle? I mean, make a G2.5 with a handle that pops off and give me colors, and I don't know that I couldn't not advocate that you just get this one, save your money, or have two spares sitting in the wings with money for a fancy lunch, okay? The ratchet action on this, I haven't used this a ton because, again, I now in life have a ton of ratchets and I greatly enjoy cycling between them. But this is pretty good. Again, think of this as basically they ripped off Snap-on's ratchet action, okay? They ripped off sort of like the Matco gear wrench style lever here. The case is, do you see this? Are you paying attention? Like, it's not the solidest thing. It's also not terrible by any means, but this is what I'm proud of. This actually works. I have had a theory that I wondered if the black chrome actually added just enough thickness on the coating to make this such a pain in the butt, but this is actually far superior to this, ratchet action wise and a functional mechanism. I'll still give Snap-on the credit, they're the inspiration for the ratchet action on this thing, but this mechanism, even though again it's kind of stolen from there, they actually executed it and it works, and I can't say the same for the Snap-on. Haven't used this one a ton, but I've never had it inadvertently unlock or inadvertently lock, which is a win. And again, it's $70. 70 versus, we'll just call this 210, you could buy 3 of these. 70 versus Snap-on, you could almost have 3. 70 of these versus 220 for Mac, you can have 3 and $10 for lunch. All right. So I kind of have to throw that in there just because, right? Now, if you've got the Mac guy, if you're like me, I cannot get to Harbor Freight. Like everyone's like, I just run by in the morning, or, boss man lets me go. I can't do that. I'm at work when they open. I am at work when they close. So yes, you know, it would kind of be like a weekend deal for me, but at the same time, the Mac guy shows up to work. You've got to decide what works best for you, but conceivably, all three would be well warranted. So we'll give equal allocations there. But you do have to factor in, this is like a third of the price, almost across the board. So keep that in mind. Now, coming in to Germany, we've got this. I love the ratchet action of the Stahlwille. I love the quick release. The aesthetics of this is killer. Super, super good. This is not killer. This is bad. I fear using this because I think I would break it. I've read reviews on KC Tool. People have this button pop out. I just am very, very scared to apply copious amounts of torque you could get with a ratchet this long. The other thing, it has minimal positions. If that matters, like, you know, I told you I like 90 down. That's the closest I can get with this guy. This is probably the best ratchet action out of what I've shown you. However, I worry a lot. You can just watch that button, you know, pop around with a spring. Read the reviews if you don't believe me. I want to love this, and I do, but I'm kind of afraid to tax it. Like, this thing has done some stupid stuff that it shouldn't do, and I'm not really worried about it. That I'm afraid I'm going to ruin. However, and this is just straight as of 30 minutes ago, me looking at my phone, that thing is $167. Okay, that is our most expensive German option. Our least expensive German option would come in at around 125 bucks. It's from Hazet, and sadly, they do not have a locking flex head, and they don't have the HP90 line that you should know and love from my channel. This is the throwback. This is like low tooth count, but this sucker is salty. I mean, this thing is tough. It's going to be a workhorse. It's not hyper fine. It doesn't have the high tooth count. It's not going to give you the best return on your investment in terms of your return angle, but she's solid. Sadly, without having the locking part, we kind of can't do a fair comparison. It's also super loose. It was like that from the factory. I had this at work for a while. I brought it back home. Right after that, we have the mid-tier. That was $125, the Stahlwille $167 for just a $1 or $2 more than the Hazet. You can get this from Gedore. This is totally under the radar for probably everyone that doesn't watch my channel or someone like German Tool Reviews. I don't know that he ever brought this in. This is Gedore's take, and this thing, I told you earlier the axis would be tied with another one. This is it. This is as solid as it gets. Okay, this for Gedore, this is like flagship primo offering, high tooth counts. It's a 72 tooth if I remember right. They don't have an 80, they don't have a 90, they don't have 120, they don't do any of that stuff, but they're 72. Think Koken. It's really, really smooth. Okay. The other thing, it's really, really solid. The other thing, if I spin this, again, totally unique design here. It doesn't, you can see the gear here, okay? It doesn't have many positions compared to the others, but the positions it has, it will lock in them, and it will lock in like a rock. I mean, it is just that freaking good. This is not a design for everyone, and I would caution you if you're not sure what you're getting into, but it's super, super cool and totally under the radar. It's also, they could make some tweaks and make it thinner, but it's thin, all right? Gedore versus Icon. Again, if you took the spinner off the back, I think they'd be pretty, maybe the Icon is a tad slimmer. If we take the Hazet, I know it's not a great comparison, basically the same, but again, no lock on the Hazet. Matco, again, I'm fair. I love the black. I love what they do with color options. That is a very thin head, okay? So much so that it makes this very thin Icon look big. If we come in and we take the axis, if we take the axis, get the purple one here, that's pretty much spot on. And then right here, if we take the Max90, the Max90 might be like millimeters thinner. Okay, it's nothing huge or grotesquely different. Just because we can, let's get the Stahlwille versus the Max90. Almost identical. So the Max90, it is by no means some like disproportionately grotesque creation. It's very nicely executed, very slim, very trim. It has a lot going for it. You think, hey, you know, you don't just do German tools and, you know, cheap stuff from Harbor Freight. Don't you do Japanese stuff? Well, I sure do. And sadly, Nepros does not offer a locking flex head. However, their flex head has this little nylon insert, and it makes for a, I don't want to say it's not like the Gedore, it's not like the Axis or anything, but it holds its position very well. I've had very big sockets, and this thing has stayed up, unlike other brands. Just to give you an obviously elite ratchet action 90 tooth there. This one's 156. Nestles it below the Stahlwille, but you got to think, you could buy this and have 40 bucks on the Snap-on. You could buy this and have 60 bucks, 60, 65 off of Matco and Mac respectively. So that beautiful piece of work there can be yours for less money. Again, can't do a totally fair comparison without it having a lock. Koken, believe it or not, does have a locking flex head. I sparsely tell people these things. It's on my to-do list, but I'm also afraid if I buy it, they're going to update it. And by update it, I mean, yes, just like their Roto head, which is huge and kind of clunky compared to the Z series stuff, it's a low tooth ratchet. Like, Koken has a lot of 24, 36 tooth type stuff in their catalog that they haven't really like Z seriesed out, 72 tooth, you know, if you will. So this to me would be their best comparison. Now, prices will vary wildly on this. If you go straight through Koken, you're looking like 160-ish sort of Nepros price. Anywhere else like DRPD, which I'm a big fan of, you're looking about $115. So you could conceivably buy this and have around 100 bucks in your pocket versus your tool truck offerings, or just spend honestly not much more than the Icon, but we don't have the lock on it. That's something I hope that Koken will do at some point in time. So what we're going to do now is just real quick try to make this happen. You'll note a bunch of these had sockets. We're going to go in reverse order here. This is Koken's 3/8 drive semi-deep. We're going to plug her on. Hey, okay, never mind. It kicks. So something that never used to bother me, in part because I never really had variety to know that things were better or that something was bad because I didn't have something better. This has become like a really big deal to me. It kind of makes me feel like a tool snob, but at the same time, I'm like, no, that's fully justified. I hate it. Gear wrench is terrible with this. Like the placement of the ball, the machining on the anvil, something is off and these things pop. If you look at this, and I go back to the Koken, this is going to go nest itself in place, and it's perfect. It stays right there. I do not like the forward push. It drives me nuts. Nepros, this is going to look like a super good fit because I don't have a spinner on this thing, a double negative or whatever that might have been. We're going to pull the socket off, slap it on here, and again, it just pops. I've never had sockets like rip off, so it's not a huge deal, but as I've gotten like more and more, I guess, like, I don't know if you want to say quality, but maybe just like tighter toleranced items from various brands, obviously KTC, Nepros, Koken, Hazet, Stahlwille, it makes things that didn't used to stick out, and it is what it is. So, since we have this over here, we'll go with the Hazet, which again, this is not a modern ratchet, right? This is nothing new. It's an old workhorse, but that fitment is elite. Let's take the Hazet 3/8 drive 6-point, slap it on the Max90. Again, pops. It is what it is. If you're curious, yes, they're pretty much all going to pop. The Gedore right here, again, note, That thing is seated. It's difficult to get off. All right, we come in, we place this sucker down, 9/16 across the flats and super tough against my palm. You've got the kick out. Again, tell me if I'm too much of a tool snob now, but that stuff bothers me. This, you're thinking like, oh, an Icon? No siree. This is a Proto super shallow. Yeah, cool stuff, huh? Slap that on, it pops. It is what it is. That's Proto on Proto, Mac and Proto, right? Should be good in the hood, but they're not. Right here on this Mac axis, I've got kind of a cool socket. You're thinking like, whoa, that's like 1/2 inch, buddy. 12 point, 15/16, 3/8. This is legit 3/8. I would not lie to you. You know this is 3/8. Call my bluff. Boom. See the kick? One of you in the comments actually kind of like dug these two. I guess it was like the same, stumbled across them on Zorro. He completed the set. There is a set you could build out. It's very difficult to do. You have to mine through Proto's website, preferably an old paper catalog you can find, and piece it together. I don't know that it's like a super comprehensive set, but you can build. This is intermediate. What that means in like Mac, Proto, Stanley, Black & Decker land, this is like semi-deep. All right, mid-length, whatever you want to say. Super cool. That is something on my bucket list to complete that. What is Matco rocking? An ADV, a Silver Eagle? No, it gets an Icon semi-deep. Let's plug this in. Fits great at the start, but she kicks. So again, not the end of the world, because it's not like the sockets come off and stay on the fastener. It's just become something that bothers me. And again, I don't know if I should be proud of myself for developing that critique, or if I'm like, oh, you jerk, you know, sound like such a loser complaining about that. But I can't not notice it now. It's just one of those deals, you know, you get things that fit super good. Right here, we've got the Mac axis, and you're thinking like, hey, I bet it was better. No, it's the same thing, and it drives me crazy. We'll take that, plug it in here, exactly the same. So Max90 versus Axis, looks like we've got the same stuff again. It's not a performance issue, it's just, I don't know, as a machinist, maybe that's what it is. Finding things that don't do that, you know, you just kind of assume that everything's like that. No, they're not. Gear wrench is terrible, like very, very bad. All of that bothers me. But the Max90 Locking Flex-Head, which I'm afraid to touch because I've got to give that back to my dealer to get a green handle. I think it's got potential. This is the downfall, right? It's cool, but kind of concerning at the same time. We're just going to have to use it and see how it goes. That's really all I can say. This is pretty much like the other Max90 I have, and as I mentioned, it has not broken in. You can tell, I think, if I get these side by side, locker, 9-inch. I hope you can tell this one is subtly more smooth, right? It's not as egregiously clunky as this one, so maybe it's on its way to breaking in, but they didn't break in anything like this one right here. I haven't used it near as much as that little 1/4 inch at work. This one has gotten way better than when it was new. I don't want to say confident, I'm optimistic, hopeful, you know, ambitious that this will follow suit with the Axis and get better over time. Right now, it's a little disappointing out of the box for a $220 ratchet, but if it's strong and it works and it gets better over time, I can't complain there. The big thing, though, I bought this to be my locking flex head at work because the snap-on is there, but it's got some issues, right? Nothing here. If I could take the head of the snap-on and put it with this mechanism, I would be onto something, I think. But my hope and dream is that this gets better. and I'll only know over time, and hopefully by next Wednesday I can use this without feeling like I'm going to ruin my trade free straight across the board, right? I'd rather give this back and get the handle for free as opposed to be like, what did you do to that? And I have to pay $18. So last but not least, I have some more bits from Mac. I've got a T10, a T15, and a T20. No, wait. I've got a T25, a T20, and a T15. All right, so here we go. We've got the T25. That is going to be for handles, right? You take that screw out, you can literally pull this. I could put that dirty handle on this if I want to like protect myself and get a clean trade. Right up here on the flex head, or the joint, we're going to use the T20. And if you're thinking like, okay, well, T20, T25, what do you need the T15 for? This. You could conceivably take this out. Okay, T15 would be your ticket. So 15 for the switch, I guess we'll call it. 20 for the joint, 25 for the handle. I think this thing is probably pushing the same length as the Max90, sadly. Again, I'll have to go through and edit this thing. It's late. I need to work out. Yeah, I apologize, man. If you wonder why you see videos from me, that come out from Black Friday or from a sale that was like in Easter or something, it's because if I don't have boatloads of videos uploaded and sitting there waiting to go, I work. Like, I really actually work. I'm not like these people that can just like record all day or record at work and edit stuff at work. Like, I have to do stuff 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., type of a thing. If I don't have that stuff piled up ready to go, there would be long lulls with no videos, no signs of life for me. And so I try to prevent that by like stockpiling stuff when I can. And what sucks is when new stuff comes out, I kind of get backlogged and I have to rush through it, and that sucks. And I don't like the pressure, if you will. It's not really pressure, but I just hate having to rush through. I want this to be fun. It is, but it's less fun when I feel like I have to like get something done, and it eats into my time. Case in point, I've had. Let's see if anyone knows what this is. Leave a comment if you have an idea, but I've had this sitting here like 2 weeks now. It should have been out like a week and a half ago. I haven't had time. I don't think that was important enough. Like this I want to get out there because I want you to know about it. So you can either hold off buying something or say, oh, screw that, I'm getting the Icon. Or be like, whoa, I didn't know they had the locking flex heads yet. I'm going to have my dealer get one so I can check it out. There's, again, not a lot of people that do Mac stuff. And I say that, I know there's not a lot of people. I also know there's not a lot of people that watch the Mac stuff. But it's kind of one of those things. I told my dealer, I'm like, man, I'm kind of interested in that thing, If they come in, let me know. And he did, and I thought, let's give it a go and see what happens. But as is right now, if you think, dude, I think I'm just going to go the Icon route, I couldn't blame you one bit. Get this thing 20+% off. It's a killer deal. The 1/4 and 3/8 seem great. I've yet to buy a 1/2 inch because every time, since I can actually get my hands on the G2, which is a nice feature, G1s were all locked up in a coffin. I haven't found a smooth 1/2 inch. 1/4 and 3/8, yes. 1/2 inch, no. So I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll find one. But at $70, best of Snap-on, best of a functioning Matco, it's tough to beat. This right here, I wish it was locking as tight as that purple handled Axis did. This is about like my 1/4 drive Axis. It's still really good comparatively, but just not quite what that thing was, which again, it and the Gedore are top of the line in my opinion in terms of locking performance. This is actually kind of cool. Like I'm sort of getting used to it. It didn't take any time to adjust. It's just pretty intuitive of a design. I just don't know if I'm going to run into it or if it's going to hold up. Like my fear is like I'm just cranking down on something and I drag across Or I'm like reefing and, you know, have it up at a weird angle and this catches on something. I'm like, you know, trying to put some muscle to it. I don't know if that's going to shear, if it's super robust, if it's just going to jostle it and move on. We're going to have to figure it out over time. I'll keep you posted. If anyone has bought one of these, how are you liking it? Granted, keep in mind, this is going to be like a couple of days, unless your dealer got these in like super early or something. If, maybe more importantly, you've seen it, but you didn't buy it, why? Is it because you love your Axis? Is it because you're like, man, that is clunky? Is it because you love Matco Snap-on? Is the icon too good of a deal? Leave your thoughts down. And with that, we timed out. I don't know how much time I have left here, but that is mine now. Ridiculously too long. I didn't intend for that to happen. But again, kind of in a time crunch here, and that's you know, not good to record in said situations. Battery light's flashing now. I gotta go. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something. I hope you paid attention when I told you there were timestamps. That way, if you're like, okay, I know about the Max90, I just want to see it compared to things, or the sockets fitted, or whatever, what's the price on it. Go to town, enjoy it, make the most of it. Maybe I'll shoot a quicker version of this at some point in time, but I'm not going to have time to redo it. It is what it is. I think we covered everything I want to, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your Charger across the creek, you crash down, and you realize, hey, that thud I heard in the trunk was my Max90 Locking Flex-Head. YouTube just might notify you. We got a brand new video every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. And again, for any of you that have seen this, whether you bought it or you're just like, no, waiting for a sale, I think the icon's the way to go. The Matco has issues, but it's still better. Feel free to share your thoughts. Again, the end goal is just to help people, you know, show them what's available, let them decide for themselves what they want to do. But I'm looking forward to using it. I want to see if I run in, literally, if I run into anything. I want to see if it breaks in. Give me like a week, because I'm kind of afraid to use it. I'll probably swap handles, realistically, is the way to do it. If you're curious, yes, I can absolutely do that. It's exactly the same, 9-inch versus 13. I would think the 18-inch would be too. I don't know. He didn't have one on the truck. But one of the cool things of the Max90 lineup, I wish it was like the Axis. This was stupid good and a little smoother. We'll see if they break in over time. I don't know if we got to do head-to-head Axis land. The Max90, I mean, she's just a smidge, and I do mean a smidge smaller. But here they are side by side. That kind of gives you an idea on the handle. Again, I think most people will like this in terms of the ergonomics. Some of you will be sorely disappointed that they are phasing out the slimline Axis. But with that said, I gotta go. I hope you enjoyed, and my apologies for having to kind of rush through things. It is what it is. But like I said, check back with me in a little bit of time. I'll try to use this exclusively as much as I can to kind of get some more wear and tear, see if she breaks in good. But the other thing you can share with people, I assume a lot of you have picked up a Max90 in some form or flavor. If so, has yours broken in? How do you compare it to the Axis? That's something else people might enjoy. But it's just not quite on the caliber of the Axis, in my opinion. But I don't want to rule it out yet. I'm going to give it some time. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you back for more from the shop. All right, you know what? One of the things you kind of miss when you rush around, I think I said, you know, this looks like plastic. You fear that it's going to break. You're like, wait, that's the switch. Yeah, she's apparently metal. Again, it sort of has the feel. I guess it's the way they coated it, or just my inability to feel anything with my messed up thumb. It seems kind of soft but I guess that's metal. Just, you know, the kind of way it's ribbed and sort of contoured for your thumb. It is apparently a metal switch, so that is important. That is a nice upgrade over what I thought we were dealing with. But yeah, cool little lineup there. Sort of shows you the Mac progression. And the only other thing I'll add, I've had some people say, hey, I wish we had more flyer stuff. If you want to see me go through that, I would do it on a computer. I think that would be way easier. So we'd be waiting, you know, till it's released. But I typically know the flyers ahead of time. Like I saw 12 on the truck yesterday. I can do that. But yeah, that was a worthwhile ad. So I want to come in. Granted, people are probably going to grill me because, you know, they won't look this far. But it is what it is. So yeah, metal switch, which is kind of what we had there on the Max's Locking Flex.